So one, you need to define your invisible advantage. So here's the problem is that a lot of the work that you may have really great results. You may know the work that you do is just absolutely phenomenal, but if it's not clear and apparent to your prospects, your advantage is invisible. And here's the part about it that might be surprising is that it might be invisible to you as well. You might not know what the most compelling part is to your services. And as a result, you're not leading with that front and center with what you're doing.
They said getting started was the hardest part, but no one told you how hard it is to scale a custom service business. It's time for your team to step up, but your clients want you. Discover how to scale to 7 figures and beyond by freeing up time and getting your team to run whole parts of the company so you can focus on scaling profits. This is the Hands Off CEO with Mandi Ellefson.
All right, so here's how the top 5% of firms raise prices and win bigger deals. So this past week at our Hands Off CEO retreat, we had our top clients, they're sharing their journey. They were sharing how they were able to become top in their industry. And they were sharing, one in particular, Jerry, he came and he shared his journey over the past 3 years on how he's gone from $1 million a year in annual growth, where the company was very much dependent on him, to becoming a top firm in his industry. That he completely owns his space now. And he's on track for $10 million in 2027. So how did he do that? What are the steps along the way? What do the milestones look like? So what he did is that he went through our 12-week process to be able to help him find his invisible advantage and turn it into an irresistible offer that allows him to really to command and own an entire new category. And what he selected is in the I'm drawing a blank right here on his services, but what they do is that they are in the assisted living space, and they went from charging $2,500 for general agency services, like selling services, to growth programs that are $100,000 plus. And I know that that's not even the base where they charge anymore. So they're charging 6-figure to 7-figure client contracts based upon not selling services, but offering services together packaged with strategies that will actually be able to help them fill all their vacancies, that will help them be able to get their customers at a fraction of the price point, which helps them be able to increase the profitability. He has become a category expert in assisted living, and he has a podcast, and he has it's not just about the podcast. It's about he has taken the time to be able to create this category business. Now that's happened over the past 3 years, but here's the thing is that you don't have to own your entire category, which, has taken 3 years for him. You don't have to do that to be able to start seeing the results of 6-figure contracts. He started seeing that within months. And within our 12-week process, we help our clients be able to see these kind of results very quickly because it's getting clear on a few things that we're going to be sharing about. So that's one of the clients that we have seen have been very effective, have implemented this process in their company. They have risen to the top 5% in their industry. And it's more important than ever to do that right now, because I don't know if you've noticed, but what we're hearing from a lot of firm owners and agency owners is that what they're doing is not quite as relevant as it was before. They don't necessarily say we're feeling less relevant, but what's going on is that they're seeing the impact of that. They're seeing that the market's saturated with choices and they're not really standing out like they once did before. The prospects and clients can't see why you're different. Clients get skeptical and they're slow to commit, leading to these longer sales cycles. And, many have shared how they're having a pricing pressure, a downward pricing pressure, where they're even being forced to discount their services or offer a whole lot more for the same price because there's just so much competition, right? And what ends up happening is that your business capacity can get very tied up into smaller projects and ill-fitting clients just to be able to make payroll. And it can lead you to a place where you're feeling like you're surviving rather than really intentionally creating the growth that you set out to create when you started your business. And what this overall can happen is that it can lead you to having fewer great case studies. And that's because clients don't really fully commit to what it takes to be able to deliver real transformational results for them. And that can be pretty frustrating because if you don't have those case studies, how can you use those how can you be able to sell to your next clients and help them be able to show the proof of the kind of results that you can create working with them, right? So, a couple weeks ago, an agency owner shared this with me. He told me it was okay for me to share this. But one of the things he shared is that this is a 7-figure business leader. I love the 7,500 and $10,000 a month clients. They literally just wire us the money and say bye. But man, the lower clients, they're a pain in the butt. But we're all out here figuring out and fighting for that same 7% of the market. And it's a total bloodbath. And meanwhile, there's this other 93% of businesses that I can help. They still need it, but they're also a giant pain in the butt. The truth is, it's going to be bloody. I can feel it. And lately, I've been spinning in circles wondering, do I niche? Do I go even harder? Or do I sell smaller packages? We're really good at what we do, but I'm catching myself being super negative. And I'm asking, how do I pull myself out of this? I've got to get better at showing the value. Like today, the amount of work we were going to do is the equivalent of 3 full-time employees for just $4,000 a month. And the guy's like, yeah, it's too expensive. And I'm like, bro, you can't hire one person for cheaper than that. And it's this limiting beliefs plus frustration. And we're damn good at what we do. But I'll be honest, I'm a control freak and my business is reliant on other people making smart decisions that I can't control. And I've been too soft. I've been too soft with the team, with clients, and almost too much of an order taker. And even while I was out of the office, we lost a client because before we even started, because my team was slow scheduling, and they didn't move everything forward, and the client lost confidence, and we lost them. And I stepped out of sales, and then we lost a client before we even started. And me stepping out of sales, it didn't really work because, 30 days go by and no sales happen, right? So I'm stepping back in, I'm hustling, I'm reaching out our DMs, I'm following up in emails, and, I just want to focus on sales. But here's the thing, these big clients, like that's a limiting belief. We're all fighting for the same giants. So, what if I go instead? Do I just stack these smaller clients? And, he's like, but I just don't know. So this is this dilemma that we're seeing happen a lot with service firm owners, where you're looking at, do I go after this big market, which is the majority of the market? Do I go after this 93% of the market here, which there's like in abundance of, but they're absolutely pain in the butt clients to work with. They don't have the budget but there's a lot of them. Or do I go after the smaller percentage of clients and really get paid what we're worth? Is there even enough clients there to be able to keep us busy? So here's the thing is that this season in business right now, it's a tough season. So really we have an opportunity. Do we want to drop down and become and serve at a very mediocre level and be in a red ocean full of an enormous amount of competition, all fighting for the same kind of deals? Or do we want to move up the market? And this gentleman was sharing how he felt like there was so much competition up there. And here's the thing is that everybody is fighting for those bigger deals, but very few of them will qualify for those bigger deals. And the reason why is because they all sound the same. They all sound the same at the lower level. And it's actually easier in many ways to be able to compete at the higher level than it is at this lower level where everybody sounds the same. So really what you need to do is you need to have, there are 3 things in order to be able to go past working with less ideal clients that don't give you the budget to do your best work, clients that, him and haw over, like $4,000 a month engagement, for example, when you can add millions of dollars to their business. Like, how do you be able to move to the next category? We're going to talk about that. So there are 3 things you need to do to be able to move to the next category, and where you can really be able to capitalize on all the opportunities in your business, all of that you have actually built already. So this is for you if you have great results with your clients, just like This gentleman here, great results. Just like Jerry, when I was sharing, they had great results. But the problem was is they were stuck doing all sorts of lower end work that for Jerry, he took a bold move and he chose to see it all the way through. And with that bold move, it allowed him to be able to step up into this highest level kind of clients. And he did that by doing three things that I'm going to be sharing with you right here. Now, also on our podcast, we have so many case studies, and on our website, and if you're following our email list, and if you read my books, we have a ton of case studies that show how this actually works. So this is not a one-off situation. We have dozens of clients that have gone through this process and that have had really great results, really becoming owning their category. And here's the thing is that you don't actually have to own your category to be able to start seeing these results. You can start seeing these results in a matter of, a couple months even. So here are the three steps to be able to win at this level. So one, you need to define your invisible advantage. So here's the problem is that a lot of the work that you may have really great results. You may know the work that you do is just absolutely phenomenal, but if it's not clear and apparent to your prospects, your advantage is invisible. And here's the part about it that might be surprising is that it might be invisible to you as well. You might not know what the most compelling part is to your services. And as a result, you're not leading with that front and center with what you're doing. And instead, what we see a lot of firms do is they're leading with tactics. They're leading with, we can do this for you. We will put together this campaign for you. We will run these ads for you. We will do this SEO for you. We will do this leadership training for you. We will put in place this software for you. And all of those things, what they stack up to is they stack up to costs. You are a cost center for the company and a high risk. So how do you be able to position yourself in a way where you are a low risk investment and where your prospects can actually see the real value of working together? So you got to define your invisible advantage. Now, how do you define your invisible advantage? Well, there's a Power of One's formula that I'm going to give you right here. This Power of One's formula allows you to be able to create positioning that is absolutely that differentiates you from the rest of the market. And here's how it differentiates you. Now, most people, what they do is they will go and they'll use flowery language to we're going to do this branding exercise. How are we different? And they're talking about, well, how are we different with SEO? Well, we're just so good at SEO. We're so good at, and it's all about the doing work. And here's the problem with the doing work. You know what? Software can do it cheaper these days. There's so many really innovative softwares that actually bake into the service, into the process of it, like best practices that can allow your clients to get really great results cheaper, a lot cheaper than what you're doing. Can they get as good a results as you can? Well, in some cases, yes, and in some cases, no. But you see, your clients can't really tell the difference here. So you need to be able to articulate to your prospects why you're different and walk them through what they can expect to get, what your clients can expect to get working with you. So it comes down to three things. So one, client type. Now, I didn't say industry. I said client type within an industry. That's what Jerry did. He started within senior living. He started with a niche within senior living that was underserved. And he went after that niche. Now, how did he find that niche? He just went and started doing it. And he went and started selling to them. And he figured out this is where we're seeing the opportunity, right? You get into action. Now, what a lot of people do is they do these branding exercises and they spend like weeks and weeks, months and months and months, with all this theoretical work. And the best way to do that is just to go and start selling this. You look at what you already have, put this together and start selling it and doing it and moving quickly. Money loves speed. You want to move quickly with this. So one client type and one client type in an industry. Now, two is the one painful problem. So here's one of the issues is that a lot of companies they're solving two low value problems. Oh, you need an SEO strategy. Okay. That's your problem. We need now. A lot of people can solve the problem. We can give you an SEO strategy, but what actual problem do you want to solve? Do you want to solve the SEO strategy, or do you want to solve the problem around the B2B mid-market companies having a difficult time going from 10 million to 30 million? Like, which problem do you want to solve? Which one's going to be willing to pay more? All right. So now I'm not saying that everyone's qualified to solve that problem, but I'm just giving you an example of something that I've seen many times within our clients where they're looking at a tactical level when really we want to look at they think that they're looking at it as strategic because they're looking at a tactical problem and they're thinking strategically about a tactical problem. But that is department level type of thinking. It's very small department level thinking. What we want to do is expand out wider and say, what would the C-suite care about? Or is the painful problem that we're solving, is this a multi-million dollar problem, or are we solving something that is maybe $100,000 problem? We want expensive problems because that's going to be where the urgency is going to be. So one client type, one painful problem. Now, when you know what those two variables are, and when you've made a choice about those two variables, now you can look and say, what is the outcome? If this market, if we are able to target this type of client that has this type of problem, and they give us everything that we need to be able to be successful, what kind of outcome could we create for them? What kind of outcome? And this is an exercise that we walk our clients through, and it takes a number of weeks to be able to get through that. It takes about 4 weeks to be able to. It takes 3 to 4 weeks. By 4 weeks, they have an irresistible offer that they have with the initial messaging, the offer that they can start selling to their clients for twice the price point. So what this looks like is, I'll give you a few examples of this. So it's looking at what is the full impact and full value. I'll give an example of Jamie. He was able to increase his net profit 40% in it was in about 6 months. He was able to increase his net profits 40%. And how they were able to do that is that their offer went from, we offer affiliate marketing services. And, we work with these like 6 different categories we work with, to we help beauty and skincare brands be able to add $10 million in 3 years. That was his iteration some years back. I know they could do way better than that. But what that allowed them to do is to double their price point. It allowed them to be able to operationalize their business around that promise, around that $10 million promise, that increased the lifetime value of their clients because their clients stayed longer. They wanted that bigger outcome. And what that also did is they had prospects actually referring to them because their outcome was so compelling, and they were able to describe it in a way where their prospects really got it. And that solved an enormous amount of problems in their business. That's one example of it. I'll give you another example of Jeff. So I'm going to give you a little bit wider knowledge. He had a consulting company that's in the space of intersection between both engineering and also surveying. So kind of a unique niche. And I love it when there is like an overlap between two different areas, because what that means is, like, on one hand, it makes it harder to scale. It's harder. You can't just pick up people right off the street who have those skills. So that gives you a competitive advantage because you're so much better than your competitors because you have a unique edge. But they were charging, a couple $100 an hour for their services at best. And what we did is we helped them be able to create. Well, first we helped them be able to increase. We helped them double their profits in the first 30 days. And how we did that is we helped them to refine just their pricing for like a first bump, right? For us to just clarifying the messaging around what they had right there. They were able to have an initial first bump, which doubled their profit. And then what we did is we looked at their service and say, what is this category that you can own? So instead of selling surveying and engineering services, what we looked at is like the bigger problem that they could actually solve is around saving a lot of money for these large, heavy civil engineering projects that would that will be running millions of dollars projects, and delays for them could be costing them hundreds of thousands of dollars per week, maybe even per day in some cases. So what they were able to do is within just 6 months, they could save $500,000 of net profits annually every year. So like they do that one time and it sets them up to be able to save $500,000 of profits every year because they reduce the delays and the inefficiencies, and they were able to quantify that down and realize that it was $500,000 at least of profits that they saved for the companies. So if you were able to, so what they did is we double their job site productivity, saving $500,000 of net profits annually for large, heavy civil engineering projects. So that's a unique niche. He brought this to some of the top players in Canada. And as a result, they were able to go and sell $1 million contracts. And we're talking about within months of them actually rolling this out. So it was about 3 months within rolling this out. Now so going from a couple $100 an hour to $1 million engagement. So that's what it means to step into a whole new category. It's moving beyond thinking about the tactical problems that you're solving. Like for them, it's on the engineering and surveying level, to then solving levels that top level problems that the C-suite really cares about, which is productivity that is coming from the delays, like really painful problems that like were keeping them up at night. And when they were able to take their service and connect it with that, they were able to replace all those lower end clients that were not quite as profitable with these larger clients that allowed them to be able to sell, 6 and 7 figure engagements for their services. That's what it means to move into a different category. You move into a different category where what you're doing is worth so much more, because very few people can actually create those kind of transformations. So now, that's step one, is to define your invisible advantage. And a really key part of defining your invisible advantage is to actually define your success conditions to be able to actually deliver that transformation every time. So some of you are listening to this and you're thinking, okay, well, you know what? Like those things are out of our control. How could he actually be able to add $500,000 of profit to the company? Well, here's the thing is that he makes it his business to control them. He looks at what do I need to, what does our team need to have in place in order to be able to define this result? Like, how can we lead this outcome? So leaders make things happen that would not have happened without them. So be a leader and make things happen that would not have happened without you. Now, if you are hearing this and you're saying these things are out of my control, look at what are the parts that you can have more ownership on. What are your minimum standards that you need to have with your clients? What is the minimum time frame you need to work with? What is the minimum level of commitment that you need? Like, what are the people that you need to have on the team in order to have that buy-in and to be able to deliver that result for them? What is the budget you need? Like, you get to pick and choose those different things, but you have to have a compelling enough outcome for them to care. Because otherwise, if you don't have a compelling enough outcome, then you're going to be still selling the services and say, well, they won't do this thing that I told them to do. It's like, yeah, well, you're selling this tactical level service, and their strategy is like, well, I don't have enough confidence that this tactical level thing that you're doing here is actually going to create this bigger transformation. So we're going to focus on these other things instead. Your job is to be able to help them see a bigger vision. Define your invisible advantage so you can do that. Now, if you'd like to have some support defining your invisible advantage, we have an executive briefing that we do on a weekly basis. I'm actually the one delivering this. And if you'd like to have some live coaching on finding your invisible advantage, then what you can do is go to handsoffco.com/briefing, and you can sign up for the next executive briefing. And what you'll learn is how to raise your prices, how to attract better clients. And I'm going to be sharing with you even more case studies on this, and you'll be able to have the opportunity to get live coaching directly from me on that. So, so that was step one, define your invisible advantage. Now, step two is once you have the invisible advantage, you've got to build a proactive sales process around that. That means you actually need to build sales pipeline so that and understanding that let's say that you have $1 million in sales pipeline of opportunities. Let's say that a third of those close, right? So if you want $300,000 of sales, you need $1 million of pipeline. So how are you going to be able to move through the different phases of bringing in your clients? There's 3 different phases: attract, nurture, close. And you need a sales process that's going to represent what do you need to do in the attract phase? What do you need to be doing in the nurture phase, which is the most overlooked part of the sales process? You probably have millions of dollars of opportunities within your network in the nurture phase if you just know how to unlock them. And by the way, if you want to know how to unlock these, I have 500K pipeline map. And if you just type map below in the comments where you're at, we'll give you access to this resource where you can go to handsoffceo.com/map to download this. And it has scripts for how you be able to unlock $500,000 of pipeline in your business. We've seen this for clients be able to close an additional $2.1 million of sales in 2 months by actually taking on this mindset and this thinking. There's 4 ways that you can be able to find these opportunities. We outline those 4 ways and we give you scripts on exactly how you can be able to reactivate those opportunities. It's pretty killer. So, you're building this proactive sales process. In step 2, attract, nurture, and close. You need to also have a process for how you're walking your clients, your prospects through this process in close. And what happens a lot of times is that there has not been enough nurturing that's happening. So there's an enormous amount of energy that's put in place for the close, and for prospects that are not actually at a place where they're ready to close yet. They needed more nurturing, and there's a lot of deals that are lost just because the sales process was not actually architected beforehand. It wasn't really there wasn't time and intention put in place. And that's one of the things that that could take a lot of time to put all those things in place. And I know that I've spent, I've spent a bit more than a decade refining those systems in my own company and learning from other systems, learning from other mentors, and putting in place a robust selling system for consulting-based companies to be able to sell 6-figure and 7-figure engagements. So when you have a proven process that fits for high touch, high relationship level transformative services, then you can be able to increase your close rate. And it's so much easier to be able to sell high ticket services. So again, proactive sales process. Instead of just waiting around for referrals to come and hoping and praying that you have enough pipeline to be able to reach your goals, proactively take the bull by the horns and actually be able to bring in the right type of leads. You want to be able to nurture those opportunities already within your existing network. There's so many more opportunities than you could have ever imagined if you just know how to open them up. And I shared with you a pipeline, that 500K pipeline map that you can download and get access to those. And then close. You need to optimize that process so that you can be able to take control of your selling system rather than just hoping and praying that everything is going to work out in your company. And you may have heard the quote from Warren Buffett. It's only when the tide goes out you can see who's been swimming without shorts. So if you look around, there's a lot of companies that have been swimming without shorts. And sometimes that's just a matter of you've been so successful in the past with other things that you've been doing that swimming without shorts was working out, and maybe not so much now. So this is the time where the winners are putting in place structures to be able to be more effective. But the nice thing about those structures to be more effective is that they're the same structures that allows you to be able to step out of the day-to-day and have a company that can run and grow without you. And that leads me to the third point for if I could talk, operationalizing around outcomes and not deliverables. Most companies are focusing on, we do this service, we give you this deliverable. Now, what that looks like is you have a referral usually, and the referral comes in, and you go through and you put together this custom proposal, and you have all this list of these deliverables, right? so that and you put together a scope of work around these deliverables, and you're checking off the box on these deliverables, and you give them the deliverables. And here's the thing is, like, you might be delivering a really good quality product, but here's the thing is that is the bare minimum. It's expected that you deliver a great product. It's expected that. But what your clients actually want are results and outcomes from those deliverables. So if you don't have your processes optimized for those deliverables to actually create real outcomes for your clients, then your results will be hit or miss. Can you see how that would be? Like, now, instead, if you optimized for a particular future state and an outcome that you want, for example, we brought on a client, and what he wanted to be able to do is to create growth, but more than anything, he wanted to be able to see a higher amount of profits. So what we did is we looked at, okay, what is this goal here? Our goal here is to be able to get to $10 million in 3 years, and to be able to and do it while we're doubling net profits. So within those constraints, now here, my team and I now know, when we're working together with this client, we have to look at, how do we optimize this, not just for generating growth, which is actually not that hard for that company, but how do we do that in a way where net profits actually double? And for a company that it's, a mid 7-figure company on their way to 8 figures, like that, for a lot of companies, that's quite difficult. We find that doubling net profits is not very difficult. I shouldn't say difficult. It's simple. Like, there are aspects of business that are pretty hard. So I don't want to gloss over that and make that sound like it's just easy, right? But it is simple, and it's probably easier than what you're already doing. So when we put those constraints around the problem of, we need to be able to grow this company up to 10 million, but in a way where we're doubling net profits, then those constraints guide us and allow us to be able to create a much higher level of growth, and be able to do it in a way where we're actually meeting the end outcome, versus, oh yeah, we're going to be doing some coaching and consulting. We're going to meet with you guys weekly. We're going to have these calls, and we're going to be checking in, see how you're doing. And you know what? We're going to be doing this coaching with your manager. And you know what? It's going to feel really good. You're going to love us. No. Like, that's how a lot of consulting companies operate. They operate on this basis that their time actually is generating value. No, actually, your time is reducing value, because every hour that they spend with you is a reduction in an hour they could have spent doing something else. So if you're not delivering value, then you are actually hurting the company. So with that constraint, I will say that this company now is that goal for 3 years, he's actually now on track for in 18 months. And that's the power of constraints. And you can use those constraints with the success conditions that I mentioned. You can use those constraints with operationalizing around outcomes and not just deliverables. And you're starting with the end in mind. You are standing from the future state, and you're working backwards and saying, you know what, where do we need to be at KPI wise to be able to hit this goal in this certain amount of time? What does that take? And what will happen is that will raise the bar and raise the standard for how you're operationalizing. And what that also does is that ensures that your clients get results without you coming in there and sprinkling your pixie dust to make sure that those deliverables actually deliver something for the client of real substance and with a real ROI. Because if you don't, then what's going to happen is they probably won't renew, and they probably won't be happy, and they won't actually get great results. So that's that piece right there. Your team members are used to selling. They're used to checking off boxes. They are used to delivering deliverables. That's what they were trained to do. That's safe. And your processes need to push your team to think strategically for your clients to reach bigger, more expansive outcomes. And when you do that, that's what allows you to become the best, because you're the best, not based on some ambiguous metric, not based on some fluffy branding and marketing. What's your best based upon is a real tangible outcome that you have measured to. So, and part of operationalizing around outcomes is actually you need to measure that. You need to be able to show your clients that they're making progress. You're setting this and saying this is what we expect to be happening through here, and that's what is really critical too. If you're working, let's say you're working together with a client and they have a long sales pipeline. I'll give you another example here. One of our clients, Amanda, she went through this invisible advantage process to be able to find what they're really the best at, and went from charging $5,000 a month to $25,000 a month, and that happened in was that about 9 weeks, a 9-week period of time. And she sold a $150,000 contract for a 6-month engagement, and that was the highest price point she'd ever charged before. She had never imagined that they could be able to step into that next level, because what was happening is that clients would say, you know what, I love you, Amanda. You're so smart. Can we just hire you? Can you just come and work for our company? And she's like, no. I got out of the corporate world because I don't want to be somebody's employee doing that work anymore, right? So what ended up happening is, she say, well, I will do consulting for you. I'll come in as a consultant. So she stacked up a few of these clients this way, and they were paying anywhere from, below $5,000 a month up to her highest was $10,000 a month for a few months. They weren't seeing the long-term growth from that. And part of the problem was that these clients had very long sales cycles. So the work that they were doing might not come to full fruition for 3 years. So how do you be able to manage a situation like that? Well, here's the thing, is that if you have deals that take that long to be able to close, they're going to be really valuable deals, right? These are going to, so we're talking about very expensive tens of millions of dollars of type of problems, right? So what Amanda needed to do is to be able to define a pathway and define the future state, that her clients could step into that future state, really show them this is what's possible. You have a longer sales cycle, and this is what the sales cycle this is the first phase, this is the second phase, this is the other phase. This is how we're going to be able to get you to this end outcome here that is going to allow you to be able to grow by X, Y, and Z in this period of time. And that's why they were able to go from, this project looks like we're only going to be doing a few months here because this looks like a very high risk situation. We don't really know. There's a lot of unknowns here, to her defining what these are the unknowns, and this is how we're going to get past these unknowns, and here's how we're going to iterate all the way through to be able to get this outcome at the end of the day. Now that's a level of leadership that she has no competition. She has no competition. And when she comes and offers this growth program to the client for $25,000 a month, and they're like, yes, absolutely, because they're seeing a clear outcome for how she's able to deliver what 10 people on their team can't. And she has a team with that as well. She's not the only one delivering it, but this is what's possible. This is what's possible when you take these 3 steps. When you define your invisible advantage, like a number of people that I've shared here, when you build a proactive sales process to be able to actually bring in those type of clients, and you can start with all the people in your network already. And 3, you can operationalize around outcomes rather than tactics and deliverables. So one thing to think about here is that, if you have clients that aren't giving you the full picture, if there's data that they're not sharing with you, you're a vendor. They don't see you as a strategic partner. It's critical that you get access to the data that you need to be able to drive not just leading numbers, not just the little vanity metrics, but the actual lagging indicators, the ones that drive profitability, that drive productivity in the company, that drive top level sales. Like, you want to be impacting these bigger numbers. So if you don't understand how your service impacts that, then they won't either. And you will not be able to charge your maximum price point, and you're certainly not going to be able to position yourself as a top 5% in the industry. So If you'd like to further this conversation, if you'd like to find this pathway to be able to raise your prices and attract better clients and make the invitation to come to our next executive briefing, you'll get live coaching directly from me. It's a small group environment and you can ask your questions. I'm going to be sharing with you other case studies. I'm going to break this down so you can see how this works for other companies and how it can work for you too. This is a process for those who are committed to excellence. They're committed to being the very best and scaling real, tangible outcomes and not just tactics or deliverables. This is Mandi Ellefson from Hands Off CEO signing off.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Hands Off CEO with Mandi Ellefson. If you want to work less and make more, make sure you subscribe and get a new episode every week, and help spread the word by leaving a review.